Hello, everyone. I wanted to tell you a story about one of my life experiences that has taught me that I really need to hold my heart open and my mind open to see the Christ in people when I see them and speak with them, and just beyond appearances, to know that if there is a truth to be revealed, it will be revealed, and to hold that space open. So in 1991, I was a probation officer, and my job was to write pre sentence reports, which is something that helps a judge before they actually do the sentencing. Part of what I had to do was to write an unbiased, informative report that interviewed the defendant, the victim, or their family, just look up the background, criminal history, and I wrote a summary at the end of what I found. I met Ray in jail where he was being held custody until his sentencing. And he told me that even though I probably heard this many times, he said he was innocent of this crime. He did not commit this crime. The crime was a young woman of about 30 had been murdered and sexually assaulted. And he said that he knew her. He had met her just recently, actually, at the bar where she worked, and he liked her. He had stayed the night before all of this happened to help her lock up late at night. And the night that this happened, he happened to be home with a roommate and gone to bed early. Police came to talk to him, and they took an impression of his teeth, and they arrested him. Ray's teeth were very obviously misaligned. His front tooth was almost in front of the other front tooth. So the woman that had been murdered had a bite mark on her, and that actually is what incriminated him. When I went to talk with the victim's mother, she told me that she believed that he was the murderer of her daughter. And she believed that because there was a paper in her daughter's purse with his name and phone number. And because an expert witness had testified, it was a doctor testified, that his teeth were an exact, it showed exactly that he was the person that had bitten her. I looked up his history, and I was beginning to realize that he had no criminal history. He'd worked at the post office for 7 years without any mishaps or any behavior problems. He'd been through the military and completed his time without any conduct issues at all. So while it's possible to have a murder as a first offense, it's highly unlikely. I then read the court testimony and realized that the defense attorney had also presented an expert witness who said that Ray's teeth marks, his impression that he'd taken, did not match the wounds on the victim. However, he was found guilty in one trial. He'd won an appeal on the second trial. And in the second trial, the jury had also found him to be guilty of murder and sexual assault. I felt a deep heaviness, a lot of responsibility, because in the first trial, the judge had sentenced him to death. And I knew that that was a possibility in the second trial as well. So I was very diligent. I even contacted one of the resources and said, I need this information. It could be a matter of life and death, and I need it right away. So my report showed all that I found. And I also wrote a summary, which there was some doubt in my mind as to his guilt. My manager asked me, how could I view it this way when two juries had found him guilty of these crimes? And I just told him that that's the information I found and that's the way I saw it. Well, in a couple, and actually the judge had some doubt because the judge did not sentence him to death. The judge on the second trial told him that he had life imprisonment. About 10 years later, I saw in the news that one of the attorneys the family had hired had asked to have the saliva and the blood samples put through a brand new technology for DNA, and they found that Ray was not the person that had murdered this young woman, and he was released. The person that actually did this was incarcerated for another sexual offense. Now, Ray had dreamed of buying a Harley and riding it freely, and in fact, he did do that. And on the news, it said he had forgiven everyone involved in all of this, and he was just looking forward to getting his life back. And he didn't want to carry that burden of not forgiving. I think about Ray when I meet new people, and I think it's important just to hold our hearts and our minds open beyond appearances to see the Christ within them and to recognize it and to honor it. And that is my story. Thank you.